Simone, are you able to talk?
Yeah, hello
Yeah, hello
everyone.
everyone. Phenomenal. How's it going, man?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well. I can see that you were able to join. Appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Hello, Eric. So would
Hello.
you maybe stop sharing Adam for a sec so that I do share my screen maybe?
Yeah. You want to take over right now, or we can let the music play out, whichever you prefer.
No, you're right. Maybe I'll take the screen sharing later.
That's all right. I think we're right at the end, so I'll go ahead and hand it over to the both of you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, today is a very special session for a few reasons. One of them is we have Eric from Imply, creator of Apache Druid. Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So, and I said it's a special session um, because, well, we want to thank everyone for attending to those sessions. It's almost the number 30, the live stream number 30 that we're doing today. It's the actual 26th, and it's been quite a ride. And thank you for everyone involved in all those live stream, and thank you to all the viewers. So today the special session will be Eric and I will be delivering a use case around data analytics in real time using both Imply Polaris, the cloud service that Eric will present in a moment, and the Lenses platform. Just as a sort of introduction before Lenses, before Eric would introduce what Apache Druid does and Imply Polaris. Just a quick note. So on the Lenses part, we are a developer experience platform on top of Apache Kafka, any Kafka, be it in the cloud or on-prem, and we deliver self-service for the developers for all things Apache Kafka, including transforming the data, which is what we will be doing today, before handing it over to Imply for real-time analytics. Maybe Eric, if that's okay, maybe it's a good time for you to introduce yourself and introduce Imply Polaris, Apache Druid.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm Eric Cheddar, and as Simone mentioned, I wrote the original lines of code on the Apache Druid project. I'm at a company called Imply. We are a commercial entity around the Apache Druid project, and we like to say that we give you immediate infinite zoom on top of your data. And that's kind of one of the things, and we'll show it to you later on in a demo. But let me explain what that actually means. Can we do next slide?
Yeah, sure.
So this idea of the immediate infinite zoom on your data, basically there's a couple of things that you might be wondering, what does that actually mean? One, your data, what is that? It's really any semi-structured data set, JSON, nested structures, it can be all structured as well, but really any semi-structured data set. And then the kind of immediate infinite zoom is this idea of on that data, you want to zoom out. You want to see things with a high level of understanding, a 10-kilometer view. You want to zoom in and look at that data from multiple different angles. But you don't just want to zoom in at some angles. You want to zoom all the way in down to the baseline, the individual event or activity. And once you get this as a full in-context experience, it really kind of changes and disrupts the experience of applications. And as an example of that, if we can do next slide, I like to point at kind of Google Maps. Now, Google Maps is they're not a customer of ours. I'm using them as an example because we kind of all know them. But the idea of Google Maps if you think about it, when you use Google Maps, you're sliding left and right, you're zooming in and out, pinching down, pinching out, and seeing everything kind of in context. And Google Maps even takes that all the way down to Street View, and where you see what you would see if you were on the ground floor. Now, what this is basically, think of it as the data set is the maps data. It's the data that represents the world around us. Now, they're providing this infinite zoom experience on top of that maps data. There's the zoom out, the 10 kilometer view, the high level view, where are your countries, where's the continents, all of that. You zoom in, you get to cities, you get to neighborhoods, you get to streets, maybe down to buildings, and those things, you can see it from multiple different angles. And then you zoom all the way into what you see in person, that's Street View. And really, that connectivity, that flow, all in the same application, has changed how maps work for all of us. We don't open up big sheets of paper and try and guess where we are anymore. You just go on your phone, zoom, pinch, and scroll. And that it's been really disruptive there. So now how might this apply to your data? We're going to demo something later, but the next slide goes over a little bit of a discussion of that as well, which is, let's say you had some manufacturing data and you were dealing with manufacturing yields. If when anyone who's building things, you care about the number of good products that you created and the number of poor products that you created, and you would have multiple different production lines running, maybe across multiple different factories, across multiple different geos, each having their own independent supply chains. And you want to know how are yields and how are defects going on across all of these areas. Well, for this type of use case, what we've seen people do is they have the zoom out view. They want to know what is their yield globally, what is their yield on a per plant basis or a per production line basis. They then want to zoom in and be able to look at it on specific production lines, specific machinery, maybe even the supervisor that's operating the factory at that point in time, and be able to see along those lines and look at their KPIs, and then get all the way down to the baseline of when something's weird, when something's off. Try and figure out like what might be wrong, what might be going on, get to an understanding of debugging just based on the metrics by getting all the way down to the independent rows. And that experience, that all 100% in product context local experience is what we deliver on top of your data sets. But that's kind of the intro for us. That Apache Druid is the infrastructure that allows us to do that. And then as Imply, we've got this visualization and cloud infrastructure that really completes the experience. But with that, I'd like to hand it back over to you, Simone.
Yeah, and Eric, usually users would start with a simple question and answer the question by visualizing some data, and then ask 10 more questions based on the answer they just got. That's what the drill down that you explain is all about. And that's usually how minds work. You start with something simple, get the answer, and then 10 more things unfolds.
Yep.
And that's how you're able to make the user navigate and answer all those questions one by one.
Right. And a very common kind of workflow that people have these days is they go to one place and they get their high level question. And then they're like, and then they go to another system to try to answer that question. And then maybe they go to another system to answer the other questions. Or they get the high level question, and then they go to their business analyst and they're like, okay, I have this question, go answer it for me. And then that person goes off into a cave for a couple of days writing SQL queries, coming up with an answer. They give you back an answer, and then it turns out that they misinterpreted the question. And it's like, no, that wasn't the question I was asking. I was asking this question. It's like, oh, okay. And that iterative cycle, it's all time loss. And having it in context, in the same experience is really important. And going back to kind of Google Maps, if you think of Street View as a different product, like, would you really zoom in on your map, grab the lat long coordinates, lift them and put them into another product in order to see Street View? You would never do it. It's just too high of friction, and you'd just be like, whatever, I don't need to do this. It's when you have it in context that it becomes a really nice simple experience that changes how you deal with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. And then navigate, and yeah, the iterative process that you explained is exactly what the scenario is about in this live stream. The Optic Financials is a huge financial company. Well, at least it's a fake financial company that provides payment through maybe mobile phone or cards or whatever. And there is in the scenario, there is a new feature that just rolled out, which allows to share the bill, which is nice because Eric and I can go out and maybe I'm cheap and I don't want to pay for the entire bill, and I'll share the bill with Eric, which, okay, well, that's a feature, right? And the issue is, well, the analytics behind and the application behind it, they expect transaction and payments. And because this new feature introduces multiple payments in the same transaction, the same bill has two payments now, one for Simon Pizza and then one for Eric Pasta in the same transaction, we need to accommodate to do some analytics on it, right? So that's basically the pitch for this scenario. The existing payment system has a new feature that allows for sharing the bill. Now we want to track how people are using it. Is it successful? Is it a new feature that is actually used? And well, of course, because it's a Kafka related and real-time analytics live stream, the data is going through Kafka and analyzed in Polaris, in Imply Polaris, right? It turns out when it was first built, the data is XML in XML format that you can see on the right of the screen, which was nice back in the day. But now that we introduce these multiple payments into one transaction, we end up in a kind of dead end, I would say, because this multiple payment is adding a split. If you see here in the data, we add a split for how we share the bill, because of course Simon is that cheap that we exactly pay for what we used, right? Anyway, so it's XML data, and it's not the easiest, I would say, to analyze. We'd rather have it in JSON. And secondly, we want to flatten this array because the split is really an array, I would say. And we want to flatten this to make just the analytics easier. So on the one hand, we deliver the service very rapidly, but the format of the data is not that ideal. So in this scenario, we'll do two things. We'll get the data in Kafka, which is done, right? And we'll transform the data to change it on the fly to have it in JSON, and we'll flatten the arrays, okay? And then Imply will pull it out of Kafka, and then will be the marketing team, the product team, who actually analyze on the fly in an iterative process, just as Eric described, and we'll figure out how and why people are using it across the globe. So let's do the first part. I'll just show the first part, and it was covered in a live stream, I guess 3 weeks ago, regarding SQL processor by my fine colleague Adam. He actually built this, and thank you, Adam, for doing this. So now I'm deep diving into the and let me maybe just go very quickly to the topology, just to show you what's going on. If I zoom in a little bit, so we have this topic here called optical finance payments transaction, right? That's our basis for analysis, and we will transform. That's the red box here. That's what we call a SQL processor that was covered a few weeks ago. So I won't go into much detail, but what we do is transform the stream. And once it's transformed, we push the messages into this normalized JSON topic. Okay. Before we go any further, I just want you to see the data set. Again, this is the Lenses platform that you're seeing on top of Apache Kafka. So the messages are really in Apache Kafka. We just actually you're just actually seeing the messages. The topic is XML. We are seeing the value here in a kind of a JSON format. That's how we render it, but the underlying data is really XML. And what's interesting is that some people don't split payments, right? So some people, most of the people actually don't use the feature of splitting payments. Here you see there is absolutely no split. But maybe I want to see only the payments we've split, right? Just to see, I want to see the data, how it's before. So then that's how that's why I would leverage SQL Studio, which enables me to query the data with SQL against the topic, right? So here I have the payments. I'm just selecting every field into these topics. And maybe I want to see where the field split is not null. And I think the name of the field is actually split. And if I do this filter, I just wait a little bit, it would show me only the payments where someone actually shared the payments. So here there is a split with two type of amounts. So here now I see, if you look, for example, for those payments, every payments here I have actually a split here. You could see splits fields, right? So just a way to show you how we could search with relative speed because it's nowhere near the speed of the Imply platform, but it's really very neat to actually see the messages and see how I would transform it. So now that I see the messages, I will transform them. So I would create an app, and I would just use SQL against this data to, for example, to do what we call a lateral, to explode this array that I have and explode it into multiple fields. The way I do it, maybe I just show you very quickly. If I go back to my data here, I just want to show you this very quickly. If I do a lateral, for example, on the split field, what it actually creates is explode those arrays into multiple messages. So now I have, for this offset, because there was a split, I have two messages for the same offset that would just create two messages out of one messages, right? That's the lateral SQL function. So that's what we create with this app right there. And this basically turns it into a JSON. And let me show you very quickly in the SQL, we just change it into JSON. That's one line, very easy to do. And then we do some other transformations just to make it nicer, I would say. But the most important part is that we actually explode with the lateral function. We explode all the payments into single messages. And the result, you can see it you can see the result is normalized into JSON in this topic. And this is the data that will be pulled out from by Imply, from the Kafka broker. And what we do receive in the end is actually a nice JSON format. You can see here on the right of the screen, it's JSON. And there is a split size now field, and there is, for every transaction, there would be also a payment, right? And the same transaction ID, of course, can happen multiple times, because if there is a split, for the same transaction, there will be multiple payments. All right, so, and as you can see, of course, some fields were hidden with sensitive data. That's just one of the Lenses platform features. So now, if I go back to the slide, I just showed you we had XML, clunky data. We normalized it. It's JSON. It's flat. Everything, life is good. I can send it to Imply. So now I hand it to you, Eric. Maybe it's better if you actually take the share. I'll just stop sharing. And we'll start this iterative process.
Yep. Okay, so we've got the data, and let's just go ahead and look at that data that was coming in. This is the data that is coming in. We can see that we have all the time and the fields and everything that kind of came from all of that JSON. And actually, is this large enough to see on the screen? Should I make the text larger?
I don't mind. I don't know.
Great. Then it's probably fine. Great. So this is kind of the data. And so like what are some of the questions you think you might want to ask? Like what can we see from this?
Well, maybe we should start with something easy. I want to see how many transactions, how many messages I got in the last hour.
How many messages? Great. So
how many? Well, every message is actually a payment. How many payments did I get?
Yeah, so there were 15 million payments, but remember we have the splits versus transactions, and so we've got transactions in here too. There were about 12.91 million transactions that had 15 million payments for a total of wow, $6.4 billion. That is amazing.
So we have some users at Optical Finance, that's for sure. But Eric, you showed a number of payments and transactions that are different. Is it like a distinct count? It does a distinct count, is that right?
It does a distinct count, yes. With the number of transactions, we can. So
this shows me that actually the new split share payments feature is actually used because we have 12 million transactions and more payments, meaning some people are actually.
It does, and you might want to see it broken down even by time, or and see how often they're being used. And so we can break it down by time and split, and we can get a nice little time series visualization of how often things are coming in. It seems like at least as far as this demo data is concerned, there's some massive spikes at certain times and other things that kind of come down, and we can see that there's a pretty regular amount of 2 split transactions along with 1 split transactions over the last day.
So that's also one of the reasons it was nice to flatten out the data before sending into Imply. So that will be a discussion that we cover later on. What's interesting is I see you're leveraging the split size field to do the split here, because if the split size is 1, meaning there is 1 transaction and 1 payment. If the split size is 2, there is 1 transaction and 2 payments. But the service was only released in a few cities, Eric. And again, I'm playing kind of the product guy who doesn't know, but I'm asking the question to the data guy, right? Can you split by city? Can you show me maybe the usage?
I absolutely can split by city. So let's look, instead of looking at this by time, we can look at split size here. And we have actually a location in here as well. And so I can look at, on a per location basis, splitting it out by the number of splits. And we can see that actually all of the different locations that we have here are doing it. We can also actually take this to a geo visualization, and we zoom in and we'll see that the locations are here in Europe. The demo.
Yeah, so it's 15 million rows, so it's quite
it's the demo gods, they come. You try to do a demo and you get the spinny, but yeah, we can see that we've got the spots here for where stuff is, and we can even take this and we can throw this sort of thing into a dashboard. Now we have a pre-made dashboard that I can show you, but we can take this and start building a dashboard out of our visuals and just take this in. We take that, we can save it as a new dashboard. We can then go back to what we were just looking at. And let's say we wanted our time again and our split sizes. Let's say we wanted to look at these. Oh, we wanted this in the dashboard as well. Well, okay, time. Get this broken out by time. Get us in the split size. Throw this onto our dashboard. And then we can
so that I can consume it later on without calling you once I figure out what I really need. What's nice is I came with one question asking, my starting question was, is there any split payment used? Which you, in a few clicks, you were able to show me. And then drilling down into maybe at what hour, where in the world, whatever you could drill down all the, just as you mentioned regarding Google Maps, on those 15 million rows. So that's very, very handy, yeah, and very fast as well.
And as we and so I'm jumping ahead to the kind of pre-built dashboard that we have, but as we get this dashboard built out, one other feature here is that the different parts of the dashboard actually end up interacting with each other. And so if we filter on London here, I've now got all of the other parts filtered on London. I've got specific merchant IDs, we've got the splits here, and everything else split on what we filtered on. And so everything kind of interacts and works together to help you gain context and stay in context as you're interacting with it all.
Yeah, when we prepared that together, I was amazed to see that all those links are actually built in. You don't have to do anything to have those graphs linked between each other with. So if I click on Berlin, it will select it for everything, for every views that you have on this dashboard. And that's actually very neat because I don't need to go and try to, I don't know, spend hours on the dashboard to have this work. It's all automatic. So yeah, that's a very neat feature.
And talking to the iterative nature, like you were showing with the lenses, you were able to connect to the data, look at what it looks like, adjust a query, see those results, adjust a query, see those results, and getting that iteration going. We're also talking about this iterative, the set of questions that you ask and what you do and everything. And both, I think, lenses and Imply, we're kind of focused on this iterative kind of cycle. And we often see an actual iterative cycle between these sorts of products as well, where from here you might discover that, the places that are using 2 transactions seem to be generating more revenue, or they're only happening in 1 geo or something like that, and be like, I want to be alerted. I want to be notified when something like this is happening, and I want it to come to me quickly. You can use an experience like ours to kind of understand what's going on in the data, take that back to an experience like yours and adjust your data products, adjust what you're looking at on the stream, adjust how you're working with the stream, and kind of connect those up as well into an iterative loop that really helps your business on top of just helping the development cycle as well.
Yeah, that's it's interesting to see. Maybe it ties back to the last slide of this session. And maybe can I share the screen 1 sec?
Sure.
For 1 sec. Maybe it's this one. Which was when to use which one. Of course, those 2 technologies are very, very different. We have seen that on the lenses side, people use the developer experience platform to actually see the messages. It's not about the lenses is very good at answering a question on message, like looking specifically, doing a SQL query on specific messages and transforming the data on the stream. So that there is, so we can query data, but it goes down to messages. Whereas Imply is really a real-time analytics platform, which in a sense is very, very different because the job of the Polaris platform is really to be able to query this monstrous volume of messages of data and crunch it into dashboards. Am I right saying that, Eric? Or
Yeah, absolutely. And the combination of the two, like really what it comes down to, I think, is being able to see your data, being able to see what's actually flowing through, and being able to understand that in context. It allows you to deliver on your business outcomes better. It allows you to align and make sure that when something bad happens, you can ensure it's never going to happen in it again. And it allows you to just improve the iterative cycle of development, which I think we've all, as developers, we've all kind of adopted, that there will always be iteration, and the speed at which you can iterate really has a massive impact on your outcomes. And I think that, yeah, that combination of the two, I think, is an incredibly powerful.
yeah, the time to market is definitely the what we are like aiming for, reducing the time to market for users. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, with that, I think we are top of the 30 minutes that we set. Eric, is there anything else we haven't covered and we should have?
No, I think if anyone's interested in learning more about Imply, we've got people we will be happy to introduce to anyone. I thank you for the invite to come and talk. I think this was great, and I love the quick iteration and visibility of the Lenses platform.
And yeah, thank you, Eric, for building this together. It was great, a great experience. We are entering a summer break with the Kafka live stream, meaning we all get to go on vacation for 2 months, maybe not, but we'll be back in September. And with that, I thank you for viewing, and yeah, let's get in touch if this live stream was of any interest for you. Thank you, Eric, again.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.